Hello traders, and good afternoon, good morning, wherever you may be. The webcam should be coming on now. Hello everybody. Please, as usual, give us a quick sound check just to make sure that everything is okay. I'll check my end as well, and then I'll say hello to everybody. There you go. Looks like the sound is okay. I'm just going to turn it up a little bit more. There you go. And the webcam should be coming on. There you go. Hello, everybody. So welcome to this live trading stream, where today we will be here for a good part of an hour. I will answer some questions that you may have. Yes, and we'll have the CPI in about 25 minutes or so. So I can see some people in the house. Fatima has been here a while, waiting, doing the countdown. So hello. I hope you are all doing really well. Severin, sound is good. Hello, my friend. Hope you are doing well on this CPI day. Okay, good stuff. Let's have a look then. Let's just scroll back a little bit, see who's in the house. So we have obviously Fatima there and Ashin. Let's come closer a bit. There you go. Perfecto. Okay, no family, no kids until the stream is done. Yeah, nice one. Peter is in the house. Ozil, Powell, Gregory, Emma, Obama, Ika, so many names here. Lucas, Bayern, Powell, Stroker. Hello, my friend. Hello, Mentor. Yes. Marv is in the house. Let's go, team. The team is here. Show us some love and smash the likes. Yes. Hello, everybody. Sandra is in the house. Yes, so basically today we will be here streaming for a good hour. We have obviously CPI coming in about 25 minutes. And then after the 1 hour comes up, so around 2 p.m. my time, we will then switch over to the platform where I will carry on trading with the members. Obviously... so we'll be there privately, continue the stream. So if you want to join us, you know where to find us, chartchampions.com. That's what we're going to be doing. Stream for a good hour here and then just continue, but obviously just for the members only in there. So yeah, that's the order of proceedings today. We'll be looking at BTC, NQ, ES, and maybe a couple of requests if we have time. So we've got João Duarte, sounds like a Portuguese name. Olá, boa tarde. Bazit, Zidat, HTT, Bidex, Nigel, IB, Bear, Stefanos, Pico Ropeto. Nice names. Okay, Phenomenon, Meeting, Phil, Favor, the Brand Maker. Wow, a lot of names. Anyway, so let's dive into what's coming up today then. So obviously we have, let me just make sure that everything is a-okay. So we have the so Thursday today we have the core inflation rate. So yesterday we obviously had the PPI, which came a little bit lower than the forecast. So kind of like giving us the risk off scenario as we saw by the pullback on the afternoon. Today we have CPI. Let's see what this figure brings. But the word on the street is that the Fed will be cutting soon. So is it all priced in now? Are we ready for a nice pop? Are we ready for a nice correction? We don't know. We're going to trade the charts. So on the left, we've got ES. I know you all like to look at ES and NQ. So we'll be looking at these two markets. I also have order flow in the back. I only took one trade this morning on NQ. We had the pullback to a kind of like 15-minute range. So I took the trade for about $400. So nothing too big, nothing too small, just a quick scalp this morning. But I'll talk through that a little bit later. And yeah, for the time being, we can take a look at some questions that you may have. We can take a look at Bitcoin, so let us know in the chat. So this first hour is for you guys here in the YouTube. So if you have any questions, please do. We're not here to talk politics. Yes, we don't want to talk politics, but we can talk economy. No gold trades. Yeah, I mean, if there is anything good, we can take a look. But I think in these streams, especially being 1 hour, it's best to focus on just one or two assets, or else we'll be kind of like missing the setups. So I think it's easier to do it that way. I've got two screens where I'm looking at the chat, so that when I'm facing that way, I can read it here, and when I'm facing that way, I can read there as well. But yeah, we can take a look at BTC. I know a lot of people like BTC, so this is my plan for today here on the left hand side. So the daily, we're on time framing up. Do I want to change this for you guys for the candles first? Yeah, let's do that. So if you don't know me, I like to look at BTC a little bit different. But yeah, like this is just a 30-minute chart with the candles, the bars. Okay, so we currently have this little gap down here. We have looked above the high yesterday. This is that 114,000 high that BTC has been for quite a long time now trying to break. And finally yesterday we saw the move through the retest, but we didn't quite fill the gap down there. So this is something to carry forward, to know and be aware of it, because we can see those moves that come down, fill those gaps, and then continuation. But for me right now on BTC is very simple. Obviously structure is up, you can see here, so we now back inside, and I do have here this mark as a balance. So the members obviously know what I'm looking at, but we have this balance from the highs, the previous highs, okay, before the all-time high, and then the low. So each of these little red fractals is a fractal, meaning a swing high. So we have the swing high up here, and then the swing low, and this determined our range. We looked above, and then we came back below, had a nice bump back inside the 50% of the range, but then we rejected, came back below, retested, rejected again with a gap, and since we've been just consolidating, and you can pretty much see this sort of like ascending triangle into this obviously resistance 1 and 2, and now it's very much like BTC has a lot to work, meaning if we can stay inside this range high, in other words retest, fine, be nice to fill the gap, then that's great, we can look for much higher. I would say in between, really, because we had the big impulsive move, this candle here, you could say that BTC could travel all the way to the other side. So we're looking at 117 if we do get that continuation. And inversely, if BTC obviously rejects here and goes back inside, well then, BTC is going to be in a lot of trouble because, we may want to take all of these stops and go and fill the lower gaps. And the biggest one is sitting currently at 105 to 103. Okay, so there's a big gap down there. Not saying it's going to be filled, but it's just something to carry forward. But for now, it's looking good. It's looking good for more upside. So hopefully we can see the market push through, and lower rates means, cheaper borrowing, meaning that maybe this is good for Bitcoin. And I'm bullish overall on Bitcoin anyway. Like Bitcoin is such a bullish asset that it makes sense to just continue make higher highs and higher lows on the higher time frame. It still looks very much bullish. I can put a line chart so that you can follow this along, and you can see here that this very, very much like on the super uptrend with higher highs, since the accumulation, higher high, higher low, another higher high, higher low, another higher high. This could be another higher low and another continuation higher. My targets to the upside are still beyond the 135, so we still have a lot of room to go. And currently, just as you can see there on this line chart, it's easy to see what price is trying to do. It's trying to hold the previous range. We retested, so it should be good to go now and make another all-time high. If obviously that 120 becomes a bit of a trouble, then that's a different tone, that's a different story, which we can then bring our long-term moving averages and say, okay, potentially BTC can come all the way back down to that 100k, which is the 200 simple moving average on the daily. Okay, so this is something that obviously we can't ignore, and you can see over the years or the months, it's been a very well respected line since the bull market started back from 25, 27, retest once, twice, and continuation, retest once, twice, continuation. So it's something to keep an eye on, and it will be that round figure of $100,000. So just something to be aware. So don't get too excited when we're at these extremes, because sometimes we can get these nice deeper pullbacks. Everybody gets panicking and selling, and really it's still on when you zoom out, a very bullish asset. So just for I'd start with that. But very locally here on the much lower time frame, we are working with this range retest. So if we can hold this range retest and inside the balance, we can expect that continuation. So if I go to a very much lower time frame, and we can bring yesterday's data to see what happened yesterday very quickly. And I'll just bring the profiles. We should have two. So this will be the regular trading hours. Very, very tight yesterday during the regular trading hours, 9:30 to 4 p.m. Eastern. And then obviously we have the overnight trading. So we open inside yesterday's value, and we're just going slow and steady, but making higher highs and higher lows. And again, just now, we're just kind of like going through that 114, and it looks like it wants to push higher and get that continuation. I already see a nice single print up here at 116, and then beyond that, there's really not much left. We can look all the way up to 116,900. So it's looking good. Let's see if the volume picks up in in an hour's time, or even during CPI, and let's see if this can push to the upside. I mean, the problem here is, to take longs where we are, it's not the recommended, or it's not the best risk to reward, because you'd have to say to yourself, okay, if I was to take a trade here now on BTC, where's your stop? you'd have to go yesterday's range, and targets would be at least minimum would be that 116, and that's not a good risk to reward. So we wouldn't want to be long in the breakout here today. So what would be nice would be if we got a nice retest, fill the gap during the CPI, for example, like a massive wick to the downside, and then close back inside. At that point, we could say, all right, well, we're still making higher highs and higher lows, as you can see. And we could just have this pullback, which in the grand scheme of things is still kind of like nice and bullish, and then attempt. So that would be the best place, because then we could use this low once it's formed, like 1, 2, 3 candles, and then we can just take this higher, and this is our stop, and then the trade looks much, much better because it would look like this. So we would be looking for that, and a stop would be literally just below that gap upon being filled. So obviously that's not the case. We are still pushing, so it's looking very unlikely. All we can do is keep our alerts on and then just wait for that reaction. What I'm going to do, I'm going to put an alert. I think I do have one. There you go. I've got an alert in the middle of the gap, 113 for 70. So yeah. Let's take a look at the chat. Good morning. Good morning. Please look at ETH. Would you short a failed auction? No, I don't think. Shorting is probably not the best idea here. How do you trade events like this? Well, you don't. You can just, and I'll show you. Maybe what we can do is I can hide trading view, and you can see on the back here. Let me just push on my screen. So. I'm not sure. Let me know in the chat if you can see the DOM surface. And this is, and also, by the way, when you hear people like traders online or etc. talking about liquidity, if they are talking about liquidity, like above highs, lows, whatever, if they are talking about liquidity on any shape or form, but they don't have a book map or something like this, or at least even a DOM, they have no idea what they're talking about. Liquidity, you're seeing it right here. This is liquidity. This is a live order book, and you can see the history. So it's even beyond just looking at liquidity. So if someone is teaching you liquidity and they're not looking at this, they already failed. So move on to the next video. That's just a tip from me. Anyway, so we'll see in a few minutes, this will all become like very, very dark. And what this means is that the market will get very thin. I'm going to zoom in so that maybe you can see the numbers here, and you can see there's 23 lots here at 23,940, and that's the only like significant liquidity here right now. But later, before the news kick in, you will be able to see this go really dark. And what I'm going to do, I'm actually going to do this on the ES, and I'm actually going to push this all like that so we can actually see that liquidity disappear as we approach the data. I'm sure you can see it very blue on your screen. We've got VWAP just below at 6547, and then we have the biggest liquidity here sitting exactly at the previous day high, but there's more above. Okay, so let's just zoom out so you can see, and we'll see these going to be faded later. And this is why during events like CPI, a lot of traders will just put a trade on, but unfortunately you're going to have two things. One, your field is going to be all over the place. Why? Because liquidity, the spread is going to be a lot wider. So it's going to give you like a worse field than you think you might get. And that could be already on NQ $500, drawdown straight off the bat. So the best thing to do is just, the question is how do you trade? You don't. You either continue your trade. Let's say if you are on a really good trade from the morning, for example, let's say you are in a really good trade, you could just hold that trade and put your stop to above break even. But then again, there's no guarantees of that stop loss being filled exactly where you set at. So the best thing to do is just to de-risk and then let the market settle. And typically, people will say, oh, give it 30 seconds, give it 1 minute, or give it an hour. Well, no, just look at the liquidity and then you will see it here. And we can see that today. And if we see an opportunity, we can jump on one trade. So yeah, let me know if that's insightful. Agen, please. I like Agen as a long-term sort of like investment. We can go back to trading view here. Let me just see if I can push it up. Actually, look at that. BTC is coming back in. I'm going to hide the overnight and the market profile and even yesterday's data so that we can keep an eye on that. This is the Mac 7, so nothing much going on now, but we can take a look at Hagen on this screen here. So we're up 6% today, and I've already shared, this is not financial advice. You can see it here. So always these streams, live streams, there's a delay as well, just to start off with. My trade is not your trade, and this is all for educational purposes only. Okay, so make sure you are aware of that legal trade disclaimer. But yeah, I do like Hagen as a nice what's it called, long-term. I like the volume, I like the accumulation range, so let's see what happens here. But this is what currently we're working with on Hagen. So yeah, for the question, that's my answer. I like it, but yeah, it's a long-term thing, so it's not going to be just a weekly thing. Okay, let's go back to ES. We want to obviously keep an eye on this one here on a 15 minutos, and we've got about 10 minutes. Okay, let's go key levels, and let's go with, I want to see VRVP. So I'm just setting everything, and pivots. I like the pivots. The pivots typically gives us those nice targets, resistance and support for the futures market. Very well respected. So yeah, everything is standard, nothing too fancy. Hey Igor, why do you have that many monthly VWAPs on your Trivi? Okay, so this is all, so BTC runs on volume, right? So when you have the weekly, so these little dots that you see here are stars. Actually, this one needs to be moved slightly higher. So these little dots are the previous month, previous week, and previous days VWAP closes. So each one of them will be like a call it like a monthly point of control, where the most transacted volume was kind of like bunched together. So kind of like fair value. So I like to be aware of those because they are very well respected. So for example, let's look at an historic one and what happened afterwards. So if I took a look at this one here, you can see that this was sitting around 113, call it 500, this line. And I'm going to change this to yellow so you can see it. And I'm going to put it a little bit thicker as well. So let's go 2 and line. There you go. So, and then when price comes down to it, you can see, boom, hits here. And obviously we got a really nice bounce from there. Eventually we came back down again, but it's still, you've got those nice SR flips. So, supports and resistance based on those levels. So the reason why I have got a few, it's because, especially close to the price, it's because I want to be interested. If price trades there, I want to be down there on the 5 minute, 10 minute, 15 minute, just watching the reaction and seeing. So you can see down here between that gap, so this is the gap, we have 3 monthly and weeklies down there. And then above, we literally have one at 115,800. So yeah, this is going to be a little bit of resistance, and we have one literally at 115. So we have 2 here, like high value nodes basically. Okay, and that was that question. How do you configure that liquidity map for BTC? You can, but liquidity on BTC is kind of low. My recommendation is that you try and find one, and I think there is one online that aggregates different exchanges so that you can actually get a real feel for the whole market. But it is possible to look, for example, at the CME, Bybit, with that data, but you will find that it's not going to be consistent as, for example, Quantower. I'm using this platform called Quantower, and that's what it is. So as we approach the data, I'm going to switch over to this so we can watch it. But yeah, you can use this on BTC, but it's not going to be as nice and cleaner as this is here, okay? Because you have a lot less liquidity to work with on crypto. What source I have, let me see if you can see. So on this, let me see if I can show you my webcam. I don't know if you can see, this is my view from that camera. So I have my terminal down here, and typically it will pop up immediately the numbers, etc. So that's what I look at, but I'm sure you can see these two terminals down here. This is what I look at, and I've got another laptop there so that I can see. But yeah, we're getting some movement, so let's go back to this chart and keep an eye on these. The ECB raises inflation outlook for 2025 and 2026 and cuts in 2017. So we've got a lot of stuff going now with the ECB growth forecast for 2026 is now slightly lower at 1%, while projection for 2027 is unchanged at 1.3. So this is all coming through now. I can see that, and we're getting this little pop on ES. Yeah, you want to kind of like be risk-free for now. This is the ECB coming through. Igor, are you going to be using we can't, but I will be using it, but that will be after we obviously wrap up here. So yeah, I mean, yesterday we had a similar example, but yeah, that breakout strategy is very good. Obviously, when used with the correct context, you can't just go on any chart, any day, any range, and just go with the opening range breakout strategy. So that's why I kind of like taught a different way, where I have found more consistent than just the standard way of putting a stop right on the other side. Especially if you're trading NQ, you'll be dead before any stats. On trading days, it's absolutely spot on, it's perfect, but you're not going to have a lot of trending days on a trading calendar, so you have to be careful how to trade it. So adding the VWAP and then potentially a filter like context and market direction, that can really help you up your statistics on that. But yeah, obviously we'll be trading that will be in the website with our members. Do you think CPI will go up and down? I mean, to be honest, because obviously we had PPI yesterday, we had quite a nice pullback. We're already back up here. Actually, what I can do here, I'm going to go to a higher time frame. I mean, this is what happened yesterday. We had PPI, we went all the way up to the range highs, and then we rejected all the way back down to value. And we did the same on NQ. So NQ, we obviously, really went for it, and then we rejected all the way down to previous day, to the tick value area low. So this was actually previous day value area low for another push higher. To be honest, I don't have a bias today. All I can say is that between that high and this low, we're coming into that kind of place where resistance is, meaning from high to low. You can talk about it from the golden pocket, or a 75%, 60 to 75% is always a nice area of resistance. We've got 23,960 now, and the liquidity, I'm not sure if you can see here on the left, is starting to now reduce. We're going to do this, and you will see in 4 minutes it will be darker. I'm going to try and see. There you go. Maybe this way it's pressed. Let me just try again. There we go. And then when we see a trade, we'll jump on it. I'm going to keep this on a 15 minute. So NQ 15 minutes. We're going to mark some levels here. Because, during CPI, we can see previous day low tapped, back inside, go, or we can see previous day high. We're bang on at the midpoint, actually. So this is kind of like the midpoint of yesterday between the high and the low. We're kind of in between. Actually, we can mark that very quickly. Yeah, around the midpoint. So let's delete everything and just wait. So we have 3 minutes. Good luck, everybody. I don't think I will take... I don't think I'm going to have enough time to cover gold because I want to be trading this. So let me know if you can see now the liquidity disappearing from the books. So you should start seeing here like lower liquidity. It means it's easy for the market to move quicker. Looks good to short. Yes, I wouldn't short or long anything just yet. How influences CPI to BTC? Well, BTC is an asset like gold, right? So if if the Fed and when the Fed does start dropping that rate, it should be good for BTC and long-term investments. And there you go. You can see that liquidity really voiding from the books now. So we should expect to see some wicks now starting to appear left, right, and center. I'm going to go here on NQ and ES. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to actually pop in a couple of tools on both markets that will help us look at next set. So there you go. So I mean, what would be nice here would be to get a move down to 69.70s during the CPI release and then close back above. So in other words, retest the settlement. So we could get a nice move back down to the settlement, sweep this down here into the open again, and then come back up. But it will be very tricky. So hands on the trigger. Let's see if we can get a little trade here. On my other screen, I do have the micros with half a position side. In case if it's too volatile, I can trigger a five micros instead if this is jumping all over the place, or just wait altogether for the data. So there you go. We got about 45 seconds to go, my end, and yeah, we should see some data here. I'm just going to go quiet for now for a little bit. And you probably can hear that in the background. Just reading the comments. And yeah, smash the likes if you enjoy the content. Don't forget, we do have a Porto event this year, so that's going to be great. And yeah, CPI in a few seconds. Let's see what we are getting here. There you go. So no liquidity on the books. There you go. See that? And straight down to the lows of this move. Let's just pull up TradingView here as well just to see this. Straight down into those lows clean, and we're probably going to get, so US core CPI, the actual at 3.1, and the forecast, yeah, it's basically the same there. So let's just go back to our trading down, but it's nice how we literally went straight down to that 23,870 for this rise. Kind of like as anticipated there with the first fake out to the downside and then back up. So now that we've seen that, let's try and go back in here and look for some trades. I'm just gonna delete or yeah, there you go. So I can see it now. So you can see how that liquidity on the book here, I'm sure you can see it. You can see how all of that kind of like got very dark, and that it's so easy to then push the market around. So yeah, let's have a look. Let's see if we can get a little trade here. I'm going to go back to NQ. NQ, same thing. You can see this void of liquidity inside. It's still very thin. I'm looking at the spread. We've got about a 6-7 tick spread, so it's not the best yet. Let's wait for that. And I'm looking at this on this screen here. You can see there's the spread here, 7 ticks. So, you know, it's still not the best to start pushing numbers yet because this is still very wide. On ES, we have a much tighter spread now, so better liquidity coming back into the markets. But on NQ, very, very, very wide spread still. So let's just give the market a little bit of time to settle there just by looking at that number. And there you go, US jobless claim, 263,000. Consumer prices rise 0.4%. Estimated was 0.3. Everything just coming through now. So more jobless claims there, with the forecast being 235, and yeah, the actual is actually 263. So kind of like a let's look at a report very quickly. Okay, perfect. Yeah, that short would have played out. You know, literally straight down into that open like we were talking. But, you know, it's very hard to preset. You could have done that if you wanted to, but it's very much gambling and you don't want to do that. Not unless you had the stop and you've accepted, you know, let's say 1,300 risk and you wanted to go with those lows plus obviously the open, then farewell. But, you know, that wasn't the case. So let's find a quick trade. And now here, let's take a look at the spread. Still quite large, still at 7 ticks. So, you know, you can see the spread, even though we've had the data quite a while back. The spread, okay, it's coming down now, 4 ticks. So it's starting to get better. And this is what traders should do. during these data releases. Like the question was, how do you trade them? Or you don't, because the liquidity just disappears. And look, can you see the spread now really coming together? So 3 ticks, between 3 or 4 ticks, that's much better. And we're getting the full retracement back down to VWAP. So let's see if we can find some support here, and then we could potentially go with long trades, or a short at 930s if we can't reclaim it. But yeah, that spread is still all over the place. Back to 7 ticks. Let's focus on ES maybe. ES back to VWAP. Typically we give these all back, so let's see if they are given back. Gamblers United, yes, absolutely. BTC wick down too. Okay, let's take a look at BTC CME futures. Oh wow, look at that. We actually went down to our level on BTC. Let me just see. We didn't fill the gap. So I mean, this is the importance of, let me just show this here. So this is the importance of having the nice plan. Look how we didn't get the alert yet, but we came straight down to just in front of that gap, but we didn't quite feel it. So for me, during RTH later, might still get that opportunity. Did we take the high? Let me just mark this very quickly. We did take by a tick, but we didn't take the low. So I would expect this to still come lower. So alert remains, and I'm going to set an alert just above the highs there so that I'm alerted should we go back above the highs. So let's go back to my other screen and let's hunt a trade. So yeah, ES giving it all back pretty much, and NQ as well, not holding that view up. Yeah, this is Quantower software. It's dropped as you told. Yes. Yeah, we basically came down and then back up. But let's see what happens now. This is the key moments now. And it's funny how ES is holding that open as well as the previous value. So it's always very nice confluence to see that. Yesterday we had a similar situation where we came down to previous value low. We didn't quite hit the value area high today, and we're just holding that value area low at 887. So yeah, let's keep hunting there a trade. So the rates futures pricing reflects bets on a 4 straight quarter point Fed rate cuts throughout January. So yeah, so the CPI is year on year is unchanged, and the core CPI month on month, it's 0.33 versus 0.48. Good stuff. So now comes the opportunities. Let's have a look and see what we can find here. If you guys have any questions, guys and girls, please let me know now, because we'll stay here for another good 25 minutes, and then we obviously gonna have to go. Eric, here you go. Sagittarius here. BTC bounce on the VWAP from the all-time high. Yes, I am aware of that, but I kind of want to see that gap filled. Because let me show you here. We do have, so this is the CME. We have a poor low still from yesterday, and that gap is not filled. So I'm just going to extend this so you can see. So between the high, okay, and yesterday's low, we still have this gap. Yesterday, we obviously traded like this. It's a poor high and a poor low. So I would like to see, can price come down here during RTH, fill this gap, and go back inside? If so, then great for higher prices. However, if the equities futures start to bleed, let's say that this print is traders don't quite like it, let's for example, and we start to drop here, BTC might be in trouble, and accepting back below that gap is going to be the first sign that we're looked above the range and we come back below. So I'll be looking at that. For now, everything looks okay. And this is what happened yesterday with ES. You can see we came back down, filled the gap, and continuation. And today we're still above that settlement yesterday. So yeah, waiting for that data. Yeah, let's be patient. Okay, good stuff, good stuff. Just reading, make sure I don't lose anything here. I'm gonna take a couple of fibs. Yeah, it's gone very, very, very quiet, the markets. Gonna have to now go deeper. I mean, I'm gonna mark a few levels here, okay, for potential trades. And I'll try and share before I place the trade. So if I find a trade, I will definitely talk through it before I trigger it. Yeah, we might have to wait a few minutes for the next trade. So this is the 5 minute there. You can see that any sort of resistance is either now 99.10 just below VWAP, but I prefer a little bit higher. I prefer those 30s. So let's see. Let's go to 1 minute. Yeah, because we're still trading within the wick that we had to the downside into the open. So let's see if we can push a little bit higher. It would be nice to trade below that wick still and clean it. What's ES trying to do? Still on the local contained downtrend. We just looked above, rejection, and now making this little consolidation here before the next move. Let's keep an eye on NQ. The spread is much better now. I can show you here. So only 2 ticks, so which is nice. So we are much tighter. Volume is starting to trickle back in, and it's now better to take them trades. Obviously, we need a good reason here. And yeah, we're just barcoding now, so let's give it a couple of minutes. All right, so on BTC USDT, the Bybit did not align, so it VWAP aligns with the gap fill. Good. Yeah, I would like to see that. To be fair, I would like to see it come back down through that gap fill. It would give me a bit more confidence to say, okay, at least we have a good level hit, and then for now it's not like the best. You can see here there's the opportunity is not the best. Let's wait for that 30, see if we have a little reaction there around the 30s. We're going to zoom right in. Yeah, 25 to 30s will be nice if we can get it. And then watch the reaction there around this section. BTC, it would be nice to see the rejection here around 114,900s and then come back below. Okay, we're coming back up. And no, I'm not bearish. I'm just simply looking for a reason or a nice level where I can at least have, okay, I've hit one of my levels to take a trade here. If we get no reaction around the 30s, that's another trade. But if we do, we can. Hello, Eric. How are you doing, my friend? Have you got your Heineken ready? Yeah, BTC. We're looking. There's nothing here yet. Let's take a look at yes. Look at yes. Massive wick both sides. Tap the open there. Let's go back down to 1 minute. Yeah, just hugging VWAP, both markets. It's like the market has gone very quiet. Good trades, yes, Heineken. What chart are you looking at? The 23 SMTH. I'm looking at both NQ and ES and BTC also. So I've got 3 charts here: NQ, ES, and BTC. So I'm kind of like scanning all 3 of them to look for a trade to hopefully share with you guys. But yeah, we're just flirting here with the VWAP. Nothing too major. I would prefer if this could still go up to 30s. So we might have a little long scalp from here up to the 30s. I know we're just below view up, but it would be nice to hold support here around the 900s and then just go back up. And then the 30s becomes the best place potentially to take a little short scalp. Okay, so 900s and 2s. Let's see if they can come back down. So 910s. Let's see if they can do 910s and then reject, go through 900s, 7s, and then back above it. Let's see. Let's see if they play ball with us today. There you go, 910s. Exactly. And now we want them to go down through those 900s and then back above it. Let's see. This is the CME. This is not Bybit. This is the CME on BTC that I'm watching. Yeah, we're very tight here on both markets. Tight on on all of them actually, for that matter. I'm actually going to go down to a 5 minute on BTC. You can see it's a lot less liquid, so it's probably best to keep it at a 15 minute. But yeah, let's keep an eye. So ES is looking okay here, but I don't like the fact that we front run that 900 just now. So let's see if we still get a little rotation back below those 900s. And yeah, the trade would have been pretty much 900s up to the 30s. That would have given us a better trade. But we didn't quite hit it. So it's a bit annoying that it's already doing what we wanted it to do. So we wanted 10s down to 900s and then up to the 30s. So we're getting that, but we didn't get our entry, which is annoying, but at least we're getting the 30s now. So let's see if we get those 30s, a little rejection, and then we can potentially take a little scalp short back down to, I would say at least back to 900s. But we need to tap through those 30s first. Let's see. Looking. Probably have plenty of time to jump in. As always, not financial advice. This could go much higher still, so 30 would be a nice place at least to tap, and then even look at the 40s. So anywhere between 30s and 40s if we reject within this range, and then we can potentially maybe look for a trade back down to those 900s. That would give us about $500. Yeah, 35s is value area high. The 900s are just untapped below. So clearly some sellers still here. Let's keep an eye. Okay, going through those 30s. Let's see if they reject here. Then we can take, if we take the short here, we can just leave our stop just above it. So risking about $200. Potential 500 reward. Let's let it go through properly. There you go. So that's better. Have to come back below. Change. Waiting. No close, no setup, as you all know. As a reminder, champion members get live trading 3 times a week. Yes, we do. We cover all the markets. We cover Bitcoin. We cover, altcoins. We cover, even gold, when you guys request. But we typically focus more on NQ and ES and BTC, obviously. I share my plan every day on BTC with the members, where we then obviously with those plans can take nice trades. So yeah, don't forget to check us out, chartchampions.com. I will be live trading the continuation of this stream with our members through into the open. I'll probably stay here for another few minutes after the 2 p.m. my time. And yeah, there you go. You can see how this is nice. We had our level. Initially we wanted the retest of 900s, but we never got down to 900s. It kind of like front ran it by a little bit. And that would have been the trade up to the 30s. Obviously, I would have be boxing in this trade. And we got to the 30s here, and we've not stopped. You can see the structure. It was still higher highs, higher lows, higher highs, higher lows. So no structure change until we got there. So now it's very much like, okay, do we get a little close below? And then we could potentially take the trade once we get a confirmation. But for now, it's still okay. Okay, this is the first time it's breaking that 1 minute. Then we could potentially take a little scalp trade here should it lose the level. And close bearish, we've got about 35 seconds. Hello, Daniel. Mr. E, what does the 21 mil delta means on BTC? It means that the RTH session, 21 mil, is that from... Oh, there you go. Yeah, we're getting that little reaction now. Let's see if we can close back below those 30s and then just use the retest. 6 seconds there, because technically it's still not closed, but it's looking better. That would have endured a bit of drawdown there. So let's see now if we can get this trade. I know we're at VWAP, but it's likely that we'll go and retest those 900s. So the point is, do we have enough range now? That rejection was quite deep, so let's see if we can get a little pullback up to it. It's funny how the market is kind of like listening along. But yeah, we don't want to risk too much here. Okay, let's see if we can get back up to those 30s. This is one of those that if we didn't have VWAP here, it would have been a bit cleaner. Meaning if we were above, we'd be looking for longs, below, be looking for shorts. But because we're flat around it, it's neither bullish, neither bearish. It's kind of like neutral for me. So I'm just going with structure. We have now a nice swing high formation at our key level, which was 30. So we could potentially go with that little scalp short and look below 900s. Just going to take a look at yes. Yes is holding VWAP though. BTC with the retest, like we were saying. Yeah, we closed back above it though. Let's see if they give us the 40s and reject there. Because technically we're making higher highs and higher lows. Okay, so this could still go higher. And it's likely that it wants to do that. Still looking. Because if we break above those 50s, then you can see that the structure is not, this level will not be a rejection, and we just want to go higher. So we'll have to look above the CPI high, so we can then start buying the pullbacks. In other words, that resistance, which is 130, and you can see so that was the resistance 130. We've looked above, we've looked below, and now we've hold the support. So it's like, okay, initially we wanted to see the move into it for a potential short, but we held the higher low, and now it looks like it wants to take this high at 50. So I'll take a look at the chat, but yeah, it looks like the market wants to go higher. So if we can get a back test of 30 and hold, we can look for the next trade, which is higher. And it's not flip-flopping between longs and shorts. It's just basically reacting to what the market is doing to us. You're back on the micros. Very, very nice. I am happy with this information. 3 new things I've learned from this stream. Thank you. You are very welcome. And if you have any questions, please just let me know. I'm happy to comment. Please, can you repeat the liquidity level, which is not filled yet on CME? Yes, absolutely. So on the BTC CME chart, you can see down here, you've got between 113,560 to 113,400. This level has not been filled. So you have like a void between different profiles. Okay, and for me, that is an area where BTC tends to go and reprice inside it. It cleans it and then it continues the trend. Or if we make a good high, which we don't have one at the moment, by the way, so we don't have a good high excess up here, then if we go through that and close below, then that's bearish. So today's price action is going to be very important because we are looking for 2 things. One, we're looking for this repair of the high as well as the low, and we're kind of like trading inside the range. So it's like, it's very choppy to trade inside. We want to see what happens if we go above, make excess, come back down, perfect, potentially short. If we look below, clean and fill this back inside, then potentially long trade. So as you can see, we're kind of waiting for that kind of information that we don't have just yet. Okay, yeah, the market is still holding here. So yeah, not really many trades. Is that the daily VWAP on Bookmap? Yes, I've got both. So on Bookmap right now, this is going to be the daily, the full session VWAP. And then later, I'm gonna once the RTH starts, there's going to be another blue line here. So just like in the chart here from yesterday, for example, I can show you. So this is the white one, is the full session, and then this is the RTH. So the RTH will start at 9:30 and will track price. And I typically like to use the RTH one once the market starts to get going. So yeah, let's see what happens. So yeah, VWAP held. We didn't reject the 30s. 30s is always a good level to keep an eye on, especially on NQ. So yeah, still making those higher highs very locally and heading towards the CPI high there. So let's just zoom in. We obviously can't buy up here. We were waiting for that pullback back down to the 30s, but after obviously coming up here, but we didn't get it yet. And if we look at SR flips here very locally, I mean, what's very likely? Very likely to take 62s, but for a good risk to reward trade, we'd have to see this come down to 50. So we could look for a 240 scalp, which is doable and possible. So we'd go 950 or 45s back up to that. So let's see if we can get it. There's a quick scalp. So we're back at the 52s. Hopefully they don't front runners. We've got 5 minutes, so we've got time. Let's see if they can hold here the 9. Just waiting here. Break out a plunger from time to time. Because at that point, taking the long out of VWAP retests, upon seeing this nice swing high formation and the impulsive candle to the downside, you know, it is risky to take the long here when you've just had this engulfing candle. So this black red candle here, look at this. So this black red candle engulfed 1, 2, and 3 candles and pretty much closed bearish. So it opened up here and it closed bearish. It is nice to get a pullback down to VWAP, but you want to see like a very aggressive pullback. So for me, this kind of like means, okay, between the high and the low, this is a good resistance zone. It's those 30s that we were looking for anyway. We got the retest, but you know, coming back above, it's kind of like a short trade. So coming back up to this level is to me like more of a short trade than a long trade, and that would have been the 30, but we didn't stop there. It just continued making higher highs. So, you know, obviously bullish in this case, and that's when I went from, okay, potentially we don't take the short, but take the long, but we never got the retest of the 30. So for me, you know, I want to see that 30, which was down here, upon closing above it, but we never came down. Looks like it wants to come now. So let's see. If it holds here, we might have a trade to 60s. So in other words, go to there. So take this portion here. But that's why I didn't consider the long initially at the VWAP. I don't like to trade around VWAP anyway. I like to take profits around VWAP. Or if I'm buying a deeper pullback. MNT is ripping. I don't know what MNT is. Like Jason Casper, break. Yeah, sometimes you guys speak different language. Are you looking at the .32 in this situation? No, I typically look at a 50%. So you know, from this low to this high, I'd be looking just for the this kind of like a 50% or max the 75%. But in this case, I prefer to use candle structure. And you can see here, it's working with this low, but it's still, you know, making lower lows, lower highs. So we want to see it come down to at least, you know, the 30s would be nice. So if it can't hold those 45s, then 30s. And then we can push this back up. But we're coming to the end of our session. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to allow you guys, I do like this here for a quick run up to the upside. So I might take this on an impulsive up to the 60s. That would give us about 230. 125. Hang on, let me see if we can get a little pullback. 42 seconds. Hopefully we get a little pullback. We just see here. Can risk 170, but it would be nice to see if it can break at least those 45s again. Then we can go up to range high 62s. So it's a very small scalp trade here, but this would have to hold now here. So let's see if we can come back down, clean these 45s. So the trade is like a little long scalp trade. Invalidation very tight here. Waiting these 2 seconds. It's not looking the best. Yeah, it's not looking the best here, to be honest. But it's a valid trade. But I don't like that. Not unless it goes now. Just looking. Yeah, and then I'll take a quick look at BTC, and then I'll go into the platform where our members will be waiting for us to continue the session. I mean, there is a little scalp here between here and the local highs, but it's a little bit slow. There you go. We're finally getting that little break. And you can see it took a little bit of time just due to the low, like slow, lethargic. But there you go. That would have been the trade up to range high now. There you go. Boom. That's now at 60, 61. That would have been the trade there. So if you took that like nice, that would have been what, about $300 there. And the risk was not too much. Like I said, about 165. But I wanted to see at least just that kind of run. And for the members watching, they'll know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for that kind of like look below, come back above, and then I can take that trade and go with this momentum. But we didn't have it here. Like what I look for sometimes here on this little section, I didn't get that. It was very slow. In fact, we only had a big order up there of 38 and then no more orders. So, you know, it's nice to see the impulsive move out of there, the retracement, but it's nice to see it take this little consolidation one more time. In other words, look below, come back above it, and that's when you take. So the trade then becomes from here all the way to that liquidity. That's how I like to do it, but unfortunately, we didn't get that one here today. Never mind. So I'm going to take a look at some questions. So if you all enjoyed the stream, please obviously go and give us a like, subscribe. Don't forget to watch the strategy that we released yesterday on the opening range breakout strategy, which is a very powerful strategy. And I can quickly talk you through very quickly right now of what it looks like, but you can just do the opening range and you can see here. So you have that nice opening range, like from the highs to the lows, and you're basically looking for the 1.5 times of that opening range. So you want to see VWAP to be on your side, and you can see here. So yesterday, for example, we spent the whole day. So this is the open, and then this is the close down here. I might have to just anchor this, and this is the low. So we came below, but we didn't close below. VWAP was still flat. We looked above, and then here, look, here it starts to point down. You're currently trading here. So what you can do, obviously the set stop loss would be here. So this would be the stop loss. We don't want to do that. That's way too far away. What we want to do is just monitor that VWAP, take the breakdown, okay, here, and then just use a Fibonacci from that high of the range and then go to the low of that range, which is that red candle there. And we look for that 1.5 times down there. So I'll just put the fib here, and you can see that this is kind of like special because you've got the 50% gets a move. And this is what I did on my example. Typically, you get the 50% after breaking, and then you get a little retracement. So if you are adventurous enough, you can do the following: take some profits and then add it back again. And then if that continuation lower is really good, typically you see that 1.5. And this was yesterday. So as you can see, that opening range breakout strategy, it didn't work straight away. A lot of people and traders, they will be shorting straight off the bat here. But, you know, sometimes it takes the whole session and then later in the session it breaks down. So this is a very like technical, very sort of like easy to follow strategy, and it's got rules. What I like about this, it's rules. You only trade after 15 minutes, so you have to wait those 15 minutes anyway, and then you have to say, okay, well, if the VWAP is pointing now, if we break below and close below, then I can take the trade. My stop loss, I don't like to put it on the opposite end. I like to put at least around the midpoint. So for example, if you again go from high to low, just use above the midpoint. So if you're entering here, you can see that that stop loss never got hit. So if you're entering down here, it might come back to view up. View up is already pointing down, but your stop loss is a little bit further away. Yes, it's a wide stop nevertheless, but you know, instead of losing $700, short 5 micros, and then you can still get the same trade. But it's a very quick strategy. If you have any questions on that, obviously put some comments down below. Yeah, be sure to check out that strategy. There's a trade example there as well on how I traded that. Currently, we've had CPI, we've looked below, come back inside, and it's just consolidating towards that CPI high. Still looking for trades. But yeah, I'm going to take a look at the chat, make sure there's no questions there. Thank you. You are very welcome. I like to drop yeah, I like to drop the nuggets. Yeah, and let's just take one last quick look at BTC, and then it's time to wrap up. So give me a second there. Let me just go to BTC. Yeah, like I said, I have my alert at 113. I feel like if BTC, especially like this initial phase of reclaiming the balance range. So you have this balance range. Let me put the line chart. There you go. So BTC is now trying to reclaim this range. So this is a line chart. You should all see it very well. So BTC has looked below. So this is the range low and this is the range high, okay? With the all-time high up here. So BTC has looked below, failed 1, 2, 3 times, making higher highs and higher lows into it each and every single time. Now we're inside. We left that with a gap. That is good, okay? That is good because it's a sign of change. But if we can just come back and hold it and go back inside, that is the long trigger. And we go later, we don't buy the lows. And I know, for example, Severin is long, Daniel is long, absolute legend. But if we can go later, but then we go with that nice impulsive that can go. So this is something that potentially could play out really well. However, if we fail below that gap, we're getting acceptance back below the range. And these stops then could trigger very quickly. So eyes on both markets, ES and NQ. Let's see what the CPI, RTH later gives us to see, okay, what kind of trade are we taking here? So remain neutral. Don't think bullish or bearish. Just trade what the chart will give you here. And in my opinion, I think this section here is going to be very important. A lot of traders will be looking for a back test, which fills the gap, but let's wait for the retest and actually see the order flow here to say, okay, are we actually getting support? And that stuff you can see on the CME, you can see on Bybit, Coinbase. Do we actually get those buyers stepping in? So you can use tools like Quantower to check that data and make your informed decision. So you can come here and say, okay, who's really in here on BTC propping this market? Do we have, like, for example, now the CVD is positive, good. The delta is diminishing, volume diminishing. So it's looking okay, but it's not good enough, basically. So we want to see that retest, and then we want to see this volume increase on really good delta to the upside. And then say, okay, we've got institutional flow. We can go with the back test and long trade, and we use this as our stop. And that's it. So thank you very much for all being here today. Thank you. And yeah, for you members, I'll be back in a chat in 5 minutes inside the Discord for us all to continue streaming for the next hour and a half or so, or even 2 hours. So yeah, see you in a chat for you guys there on YouTube. Yeah, thank you for being here. And as always, it's a pleasure. I hope you've learned something new today. And if you haven't, well, then join us at Chart Champions. And I'm sure you're going to learn a lot of gold nuggets. We do live trading so many times per week. You've got myself, Severin, Daniel doing live streams left, right, and center, where we, put our money where our mouth is. And yeah, that's it. Thank you very much. And I'll see you on the next one. Goodbye.